Hello, BookTube. Well, I'm solo here because David and I already did a video together, but I got some book mail, and I want to know what's in these packages. So, and the only way to do that is to open them on camera. So I got two. It won't take long, and we'll go through them and see what we have. So this is the first one in one of these vacuum pack things. Oh, you're kidding me. God, this happens every visit. This happens every single time. All right, well, this is not going to stay with me. This is the finished copy of Wolfpack by Roger Morehouse. This is about Hitler's U-boat war, so I've got no paperwork on this at all. Let's see here. Winston Churchill once remarked that the only threat to truly frighten him was the peril of Nazi U-boats. Over the course of World War II, Germany's submariners sank over 3,000 Allied ships, nearly three-quarters of Allied shipping losses in all theaters of the war. In the process, submariners endured horrific conditions and suffered a 75% death rate, the highest of any armed service in the conflict. Yet their story has never been told in full. Don't quite think that's true, but Roger Morehouse is a visiting professor at the College of Europe in Warsaw, and he's written a number of books on World War II, including Poland 1939 and Berlin at War. Oh, and The Devil's Alliance. Okay. I'm pretty sure I read The Devil's Alliance, but I know I read Berlin at War. Well, anyway, this is the finished copy of that book. I have already floated the galley copy to David, but now he can just take this. So that's book number one. That's from a publisher. And then the next one is Tribute. It's sent from a regular source of Tribute. So let's see what's packed in here. Because the thing about book tribute, library book sale tribute, is I don't remember the stuff that I'm squealing for. So it's all new to me when it gets here. Okay. All right. This one I picked off of a picture of a library shelf because I did not recognize it. This is the hardcover of Walter Isaacson and Evan Thomas, The Wise Men. But I have the hardcover of this I know is deep blue, and has the faces of the friends in question on the cover. I don't know what this is. Simon & Schuster? Could it be that... Is this UK Simon & Schuster? No. Okay, I don't... okay. This book came out in 1986, and it's terrific. It's really, really good. But the introduction to this volume by the two authors is copyright 2012. So this is a later reprint of that earlier hardcover. That's interesting. I don't know anywhere where I would be able to read that introduction other than this book. Great. Then what else? Okay. World War II story. This is Lost at Sea by John Wukowitz. It's about Eddie Rickover. Do we have a description here? In the darkest days of World War II, an unlikely civilian was sent to deliver a message from Washington to General MacArthur in New Guinea. Eddie Rickenbacker was a genuine icon, a renounced race car driver, a pioneer of aviation, and the greatest American fighter pilot of the First World War, and a recipient of the Medal of Honor. And now in his 50s, and one of the most admired men in America, he was again serving his nation, riding high above the Pacific as a passenger aboard a B-17. But soon the plane was forced to ditch on the ocean's surface, leaving its 8 occupants adrift in tiny rubber life rafts hundreds of miles from the nearest speck of land. Lacking fresh water and with precious little food, the men faced days of unrelenting sun followed by nights shivering in the cold, fighting pangs of hunger, exhaustion, and thirst, all while being circled by sharks. Each prayed to see a friendly vessel on the horizon and dreaded the arrival of a Japanese warship. Meanwhile, as the U.S. Navy scoured the South Pacific, American radio and newspaper back home parsed every detail of Rickenbacker's disappearance, and an adoring public awaited his fate. Okay, well, it seemed interesting to me when I glimpsed it in a photo, and that does sound interesting. This is what David and I refer to as keyhole histories. It's just one tiny little story. It's not even the whole story, right? The whole story would be, I got the message. I delivered the message. We delivered the bomb. It wouldn't be, I got sidetracked for a few days. Oh, wow. So I went, of course, again, like David, I usually start my books in the back. And I see over and over again mentioned here Rickenbacker's own book that was called Eddie Rickenbacker, and which I do not know. I've not read that book. But this thing is heavily based on it, which always makes me wonder, I mean, Rickenbacker would have had a better who are you, John Wukowitz? A military expert and authority on the Pacific theater of World War II. And then a list of his articles, meaning maybe this was his first book. But Rickenbacker would have had a better education, and the earlier generation would have been more eloquent. And he wrote about the subject, or he wouldn't be in every single note of this book. So when I see that sort of heavy leaning on a primary book, I always wonder, should I just read that? I don't know that I've ever seen that book. But anyway, there you go. Lost at Sea. Oh, right, yes. This was a bolt from the blue. The other day at the Brattle, I found a copy of Elizabeth Longford's Wellington, The Years of the Sword. She did a life of the Duke of Wellington, and she split his life into the way every biographer has to do. The first half where he is rising in the campaigns and then beating Napoleon, and the second half where he is rising on the greasy pole and becoming the head of British politics. And I found the first volume of that at the Brattle, and I've had it before. And in that video, I said, there comes a point when you just have to acknowledge that some authors you just get along with better than others. And you're going to want their book on subject X, Y, or Z. Now, I would hold that even if these things had not been completely supplanted by later scholarship. I don't think they have been. So when I found that, I looked around in the sale lot for the second book, Pillar of State. And I didn't see it, and I said, as usual, the Brattle will provide. But in this case, a different library provided. Well, there it was, just sitting there in a picture, already with a covering on it. So now I have this 2-volume set. Great. That's fantastic. Now I can reread them. Then this is relatively modern, this next one. I think I wrote about this. I'll have to ask my house guest if I wrote about this. This is from 2023. I almost certainly wrote about this. This is Sally Bedell Smith, famous House of Windsor historian, and this is her book George VI and Elizabeth, and there is we four, as they called themselves in the press, the king, the queen, who you would know as the Queen Mother, and the 2 daughters. And I like this quite a bit. I tend to like Sally Bedell Smith's books. Now I'm going to be dying of curiosity to know, if I review this, but I think this has a blurb from Prince Charles, because Sally Bedell Smith is in with the royals, which tends to make her books really really interesting. Well, no. Peggy Noonan, Amanda Foreman, Evan Thomas, Margaret McMillan. Those are pretty good blurbs. I saw this in the picture that was sent to me, and I realized right away that I don't have it, and that as a modern biography, I want it. So, okay, we've got more House of Windsor. This is James Pope Hennessy wrote a great biography of Queen Mary, and this Hugo Vickers did a very strange book, The Quest for Queen Mary, which is only partly a quest. You see that title and you think, okay, we're gonna delve into this historical figure, but really this is more a quest for Queen Mary, not the person but the biography, and a delving into Pope Hennessy's life, his incredibly picturesque, baroque, and weird life, and also all of his research on the subject. It's a great companion if you're interested in Queen Mary, and I am. For the late lamented NaNoWriMo one year, I wrote a story, 50,000 words, about Queen Mary, called The Winter Queen. Oh no, the Ivy Queen is what I called it, for a very particular reason, because when World War II broke out, the royals, especially her son, thought, well, London is being bombed. You are more valuable than we are. So they shipped her out to the countryside. they packed her up with her train and all of her servants, and shipped her out to the countryside, where she was much less likely to be strafed or bombed. But she was all fervent to help with the cause. And one of the causes the little things you could do is to pull clambering vegetables off the walls of your house. You're supposed to black out your windows, but you're also supposed to pull all of that stuff off the outside of your house, make it less flammable. And she went at that with a will, pulling centuries-old ivy off gorgeous houses that were not in any danger of being bombed any more than she was. And that's why I called her the Ivy Queen in that story. And I dared in that story to think that, what if in a series of events that will never be recorded because country folk have discretion and she would not put it in her letters. What if she fell in love? It was a wonderful story to write. So I'm glad I have this book. I will reread it, and I'll put it on the shelf right next to the couple of Queen Mary books that I have. Oh, right, okay. And then there's this last one, which is a biography of William Gladstone. The Roy Jenkins biography of William Gladstone. And the only reason that I squealed for this is because I don't recognize this version at all. I know the big hardcover, but I don't think I've ever seen this. Oh, there's a blur from the Boston Sunday Globe. That was not me. And, of course, there's a blur from the New Yorker, but that's not me. They don't want anything to do with me. I don't think I reviewed this. Didn't this come out? I almost looked up and asked David. Oh, my God, that's really bad. I think this came out before I got back into reviewing. I'm pretty sure. Well, that magic date is 1990. So, or no, not 1990. What am I thinking? 2016. Oh, this is squarely in the mid-90s, so I did not review this. Okay, but I did read it, and I loved it. So now I have this trade paperback that I didn't recognize. So there you go. There's a book haul. A whole bunch of stuff, whole bunch of biographies. How wonderful to perk up the beginning of the week. So I'm going to wrap this up. Who knows what the video stuff will be. David and I are trying our hand at a vlog of our adventures today. We'll see if it works. It certainly wouldn't work if I tried it, but he knows what he's doing. So there might be a vlog, very first thing on this channel. Wouldn't that be amazing? Is it the first thing on this channel? It is, right? The only other time that I've been in a vlog, I did it twice for Chris Rhodes on his channel. I think. I know I never made one myself. I couldn't do that. But we had a lot of fun, and I think we'll be sharing that with you. But anyway, so that's great. A really bookish day. That's just what I need. So I'll wrap this up. And I'll be back. Thank you.